Hello and welcome to Raw Architecture. My name is Andrew Hernandez and I'm a California licensed architect. And today we are going to talk about display settings versus object settings and the difference between those two components. Now, what we're talking about are system variables within AutoCAD. Again, I've mentioned AutoCAD is a funky program. It's highly customizable and highly sensitive to updates and highly sensitive to other users' settings. You as the new operator or as the current operator receiving a drawing from another company with their settings and it messing with your particular settings in AutoCAD within that particular drawing file. Now, a system variable is a setting that controls how certain commands work. Whereas commands usually initiate an activity or open a dialog box, system variables control the behaviors of commands, default values, and operations or appearance of the user interface. Basically, you have an object that has settings in AutoCAD, and then you have the display settings of that same object in AutoCAD. So you have two variables. One is the object settings, one is how the object looks or how it's displayed, whether that's in model space or paper space. What the object settings are not always what the display settings show of that same object. And we're going to focus on text today. Basically, how the text displays in model space versus paper space. And when we go to plot a drawing, the display of that text is different from the model space to paper space. It's either highly enlarged or super zoomed in, and the scale is off. Even though the settings are correct, the display settings are not dialed in to present in the paper space. All right, now first I want to explain what an annotative object is. I'm just going to read the general definition from Autodesk. Annotative objects are defined by specifying a paper, height, or scale, and then annotation scales at which they should be displayed. An annotative object can have multiple scales assigned to it, and each scale representation can be moved independently of each other. Basically, as I explained, the display setting and the actual object setting can be two different things. So what you are drawing and using and operating in model space can be different from how that object looks in paper space when you go to print or plot the drawing. And there are several reasons for this. There are several uses for this, which I won't get into. If you want to look up some other AutoCAD annotative scale videos on YouTube, there are plenty out there. But for our purposes, for architectural drawings, we are just going to focus on shutting it off, shutting it down, so that the object settings represented in model space show up in paper space to scale so that the drawing can be printed. Right, now that I've read you some boring definitions of annotative objects, system variables, let's pop open AutoCAD and let's figure out which commands to use, which settings to look for, and we'll be able to narrow down exactly what I'm talking about in AutoCAD. All right, let's pop that open and let's do that. Now, before we get started, I'd like to invite you to visit the Amazon link below and check out my book, How to Become an Architect Without a Degree, a guide to understanding the entire architectural licensing process in North America. In this book, you'll learn what an architect is, what an architect does, how much architects make, and of course, how to become an architect. It's a great gift idea for the young high schooler or young adult that is not quite committed to a career, wants to know more about architecture, does not want to enroll in architecture school without knowing what is involved in the career. It's a long process to become licensed. It takes many, many years, and there's a lot of practice involved in becoming an architect. Okay, let's switch scenes here. Okay, pulling up AutoCAD. Now, okay, this is what I was talking about with the display settings. Now, obviously, we see a bunch of text just scattered all over, and this is what I was talking about with the display settings being different from the actual object settings. Now I'm in paper space, I'm going to switch to model space, and you'll see this text displaying correctly. Now, some of the objects that are not displaying correctly here, we see living, bathroom, kitchen. It's kind of hard to read, but basically this object, these objects here, dining, bathroom 1, kitchen, and some of the text here that I'm using from my door and window schedules are set to an annotative object, whereas the rest of these text objects, such as here, are not annotative objects. Now when I click here, I right click, we have annotative object scale, options, but what we want to do is go to properties here, and looking at properties, we see here annotative scale 1:1, annotative yes. What we want to do in order to fix this annotation scale is change it to no. You just change it from an annotative object to a non-annotative object. So whatever these settings are, we'll do a match properties. And we'll go back to Paperspace. The other text is covering this. Do a match properties here. And now it's displaying correctly. So these notes I have under my door schedule and window schedule are now presenting correctly in Paperspace. Because it was an annotative object, I was able to manipulate the display settings of that object. Not the actual object settings, but the display of the object. So that's what I was kind of talking about with those two different settings, and just getting rid of that as an option and changing it from a annotative display to a non-annotative display. So let's fix the rest of these text objects here. So we'll go properties, and we will say no. And we'll do a match properties on the dining, kitchen, and living room text. Looks like I missed one, hallway. That's this hallway right here. Now we will go from this PDF that has the messy text and the text not displaying correctly. I'll create a new PDF. Plot. Now it's a very clean drawing. See all the scales, you can see the living room, the text is all displaying correctly. That's a little overlap that I would normally clean up. Go plot, and let's just do this, a test. There it is, there's your clean PDF. Beautiful PDF. Also be sure to check out the Raw Architecture Etsy store. We have stock plans in AutoCAD and PDF, and we also have the Raw Architecture Residential Master Set in AutoCAD format available for purchase. All right, thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the sponsors in the description, whether it's my book, whether it's the Etsy store, or just a like and subscribe helps this channel out very much. Thank you.